but he'll be eligible to be signed by a football team after April of next year. So if I were him, suing the league, okay, that's not where you want to go. I sued the league. Let me read you some of the stories, and you can follow along if you want. It's over on my X account at Dan Sileo Show. And so let me read you some of the columns that people wrote. And this was just, again, these were just, there were thousands of articles written on what Brandon Sorsby is going through right now. So let me read you one. This is the legendary Tom McEwen. Bucks still have a shot at Sileo. Here's the next one. Rozelle to rule on Sileo today. NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle will rule today whether Dan Sileo and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signing of Sileo was lawful, declaring him a Buccaneer or a free agent. You guys don't understand. I challenged free agency. Reggie White wasn't the first guy to do it. I did. Here's the article by Tom McEwen. NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle will rule today whether the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signing of Dan Sileo was lawful, declaring him a Buccaneer or a free agent who must go through some sort of supplemental draft to allow other teams to have the opportunity to acquire him. If Rozelle rules against the Bucs, who surprised the other 27 teams, this is where I got away from it and Sorsby didn't. The Bucs signed me. They gave me a $1.7 million contract. I didn't realize. I thought there were 28. There were 27 teams back then. And the NFL itself, by a quick move on Sileo after the NCAA ruled him ineligible for further University of Miami play, the Bucs and Sileo will fight it. Joe Martinez, Sileo's Miami attorney, already has said he will sue. Buck owner Hugh Culverhouse and Ray Perkins also said they would not accept such decision without further effort. The Bucs were behind me in me suing the league. Perkins told the Buck quarterback club on noon Tuesday he would fight it. The National Football League was fighting the Buccaneers and me. And here's the article. It's at my Twitter page. Here's another one. Bucks draft Sileo, sign him again. And here's the final one, but there were thousands of them and how they went, okay? Bucks get Sileo, lose pick in draft. Defensive tackle Dan Sileo of the University of Miami was selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the third round of the supplemental draft Wednesday. Sileo had signed with the Buccaneers earlier after the NCAA had ruled his college eligibility and he was not eligible. The league voided the free agent agreement, requiring Sileo to go through a supplemental draft. The tackle will cost the Bucks a third pick in the 88 college draft. And here's one of the most notable ones that, for me, was one of the more important comments. New York Times, Sileo strikes at NFL in name of free agency. The National Football Players Association is watching the case of Dan Sileo versus the National Football League, but is not touching it. And that's too bad. This case puts a fresh perspective on free agency issues that had pressed the union to the brink of a strike. I pushed for free agency for players. Okay? I pushed for free agency. And in that aspect, me suing the league, okay? Me suing the league hurt me. So if I were Brandon Sorsby, suing the NFL, that's not where you want to go. Anybody who has ever sued, like Major League Baseball, when like Curt Flood sued Major League Baseball for free agency, what happened to his career? He was a great player. I wasn't. What happened to that guy's career, Curt Flood? They ruined it. Dude, I sued Pete Rozelle in the league for free agency. I did not want to go in the supplemental draft. I was fighting for free agency. Supplemental draft? You were telling me where I had to play? I didn't want to go into a supplemental draft. That's right, Jason. In turn, they blackballed me because I sued the league. There was no free agency then. I was threatening it. I threatened free agency. The New York Times, Wall Street Journal articles are right there for you to read. And I posted them at Dan Sileo Show. And by the way, you can Google them too. They're everywhere. So when people came to me and said, you know, this is going to hurt you in how the league looks at you. Yeah, well, I wasn't kneeling. I was kneeling for the players. I was trying to get free agency. Okay? I was trying to fight so that players could go. I did this before Reggie White. Now, Reggie was able to do this because you know why? He was able to do this because he was a better player and a greater player than me. That's right. Okay? The Bucks were one of the worst teams of all time at the time. Correct. And I had to go there. And I told people at the time, I didn't want to go to Tampa Bay. I didn't want to go there. I believed that, guess what? I had missed the 1987 draft. And when I found out that I was a free agent, I said, I'm a free agent. The commissioner called me up. Here's the context of the story, too. And by the way, this is New York Times, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times. This is all of that. And my aunt and everybody were there with me as we were fighting this. Here, and Tom McEwen's one of the most legendary. Here, Culverhouse spoke personally with Rozelle, saying the Bucks had done their homework on this one. And in his judgment, the move was within the rules, that the Bucks simply found out what other clubs had moved on from and feels that the Buccaneers were in the right and just out-hustled everyone. It would be unfair if the NFL rules against Tampa, said Perkins. I think it's a cut-and-dried situation. What kind of ruling we will get, I don't know, but I will fight it. I think we have to have the right to. Sileo was at the Buck Tuesday practice, but only as an observer. Perkins said it would take him 3 weeks to be ready to play right now. Only Mike Stensrud was at the nose guard position. Moving swiftly, the Buccaneer owner, Culverhouse, his aide, Phil Kruger, and Perkins brought Sileo and his attorney to Tampa on Monday. It's the only time I've ever actually flown up in a private jet. The NFL was advised of the plan, and it was executed. The NFL advised the Bucks it would have to study it further, telling Sileo not to practice with the team. I had signed a contract that morning of $1.7 million over 3 years. The Bucks had been studying the Sileo case for some time. Had it gone into August supplemental draft that included it's Ohio State's Chris Carter and Charles Gladman, they probably would have pursued him. A Buck source said we didn't, and he didn't. The Buck study produced a judgment that Sileo was now a free agent based on his college eligibility. This is something that Sorsby's not going to be able to do. There's no other opportunity for him. But what I'm trying to explain to you guys is this, is that I was fighting the NFL on free agency. One could argue your legacy from this situation goes further than your accolades. The stipulations of your case are part of the football law, practically, but they extend to all sports, really. Thank you, Reyes. Yeah, I never looked at it until this Sorsby case. I was the first guy for free agency and fighting for free agency for the NFL players. My case was the beginning. And it cost me. They blackballed me. They wanted me out of the league. They didn't want me to play. And it was like I had to go through the World League to even get a sniff to get back into the National Football League. And when it was said to me, my wife is downstairs. They were going to keep me with the Lions. All the coaches wanted to keep me. Came back. Nope. They didn't keep me because of my history. I mean, your stance makes sense. It makes sense that you would be a free agent if you weren't drafted. Correct. I mean, at the end of the day, they never really, Ray was really behind me, and the Bucks were. And by the way, I'm not telling you I didn't shoot myself in the foot in Tampa, but we've had the general manager who was the GM of the team at the time, and now the president of the Atlanta Falcons, come on here and say, we practiced you wrong. We played you wrong. We even tried to put you in a wrong position. How many times has Rich McKay said that to you guys? There's a video clip of it. We brought you in here, and it wasn't the right fit. I shouldn't have been a Buck. I should have went to Pittsburgh or Dallas, where they used the one technique. Hey, there's no report. There's no getting around it. I did not help myself at all. This kid going through the supplemental draft, he's going to have to really, really think about it. And this might be the best thing in the world. Okay? This might be the best thing in the world for him, not to have gone through the supplemental draft. If you think about it, it's amazing how few people make it to the NFL, and Sills was one of them. Pretty fucking impressive on its face. And how I got there was even more, suing the league. Get this, Sig. I got to the NFL suing the NFL. Won every one of your interviews with him. Yeah. Or be a free agent since your eligibility expired. That's a proper way to put it. Dude, listen. The Hurricanes fought it. The Buccaneers. What saved me was the Bucks. They gave me the contract. They came right to me. And they said this. Here's a $1.7 million deal. Jerome got 1.9. We think you're a first-round kid, and we're going to give you the money and pay you what Jerome did. Now, Jerome was the 9th player taken. I got less, so I probably would have been slated at 13, somewhere in there. Okay? What's not helping Sorsby is no team came to his aid. And that's going to be a problem moving forward. Sills, I understand your position, but let's assume a player wasn't sure where he ended up. He could choose not to declare for the draft and then post-draft shop himself. It would be crazy. Listen, I wasn't trying to beat the NFL. And by the way, I didn't even know that I was going to be fighting for free agency for all the players. I was just trying to play. But as it started to evolve, I challenged free agency. And how they made it up to me, they put me in a supplemental draft and gave me the contract and said, here. And I dropped my lawsuit. I wonder how that would have been if I would have kept going. But at the end of the day, I got blackballed because I sued the league. And he's going to sue the league? Kid, I'm going to agree with some of you now, and I'm going to say I'm wrong. He may never play again because they did everything for me not to play. And you could show up to all these training camps. Dude, do you find it ironic that every single NFL training camp that I was at, I was the last player cut? Whether it was Detroit, Dallas, Tampa, I was the last player cut every time. And back then, you only kept 45. You didn't keep 71 players like you do today. Okay? I mean, the last player cut, and the general manager always came to me and said, like when Ron Hughes, why do you think Kevin Colbert came on here? Is it starting to make sense? Reyes, I know you and I go back and forth, but does it make sense why Kevin Colbert came on? Kevin Colbert was the assistant general manager in Detroit. And him and Ron Hughes came to my room with Chris Spielman and said, dude, I don't want to cut you. Go see, who was the coach then? I forget the coach. Wayne Fonts. Go see him. And he goes, this is above my head, Dan. And then years later, my wife in the booth told him to go fuck himself when he said it was the biggest mistake I had during my time was letting him go. I had outplayed everybody, including Jerry Ball. And I was coming off an 11-game season with the World League. So if this kid thinks you're going to sue the league and you're not going to face ramifications, bro, you got enough issues to deal with the gambling. You need to get your shit together and clean it up before you think you're going to ever play for a team like Philly or anyone else.